just, what's another weekend, right? Could it be another couple of days? LeBron James and the Lakers have a second straight opportunity to deliver the franchise its first title since 2010, while Jimmy Butler and the Heat seek a second straight win over the Lakers, facing a 3-2 deficit in the finals. And undoubtedly, this will be a fight.
Lakers trying to close this out and win their 17th championship. The Heat looking to force that game 6.
And this has been like one of the old heavyweight fights.
That's the beauty of the game, being able to compete at the highest level. We were both just trying to do that and try to will our team to a victory.
James and Butler battling here in the first half.
We live for these moments. Like the work that we put in, we built for this.
You got two teams who want to compete. We're motivated as well to finish this thing off and hoist that trophy just as bad as them.
And both teams keep getting up off the canvas. What an epic duel. Two masterful performers, two great competitors here in Game 5 of the NBA Finals. James drives, gets inside, running layup. It's good, out of foul. Butler drives, falling away. Got it again. Butler and James going toe-to-toe, big shot after big shot. The following backs it home.
Two guys throwing big-time haymakers and hanging in there.
Butler goes to the basket, layup, won't go but a foul. Butler right now is exhausted. Clutch free throw after clutch free throw. James gets off the three. It's over. The Heat take every punch and refuse to surrender. And the Miami Heat's dream of a title still very much alive.
What's left right now? Nothing. I left it all out there on the floor.
And one thing about this team that we're playing, they make you pay for every mistake. We got to be better in Game 6, close the series.
And that's how we're going to have to play from here on out. We got 2 more in a row to get.
And you may remember the only team to rally from a 3-1 deficit in the finals series was led by LeBron back in 2016. But after Game 5, Jimmy said with a smile, "We live for these moments. We're built for this. And we're with you for the next hour and a half until it's time to switch over to ABC. Then stay with us on NBA TV for pre- and post-game coverage, including coach and player press conferences." Welcome back into our NBA TV studios. This is Game Time live at the Finals 2020, presented by YouTube TV. I'm Kristen Ledlow, and in just a few minutes, I'll be joined by our Hall of Famers, Grant Hill, Gary Payton, Isaiah Thomas. But first, we've got to get to the latest from Orlando, as Anthony Davis is listed as probable to play in this game with a right heel contusion, but he does say he'll be fine. Coach Frank Vogel did address the injury ahead of the game.
Yeah, he was just battling through, the heel. He was struggling to move a little bit, but toughed it out. And, we'll see how he feels.
He's a warrior, man. We know the nicks and bumps and bruises he's played throughout the whole season. And, we got to pick it up for him.
He just re-aggravated it and went out at the end of the first and, just kind of just wore off and just got back to normal. Just kept moving around, just trying not to sit down, get that adrenaline going, and I was able to keep going, keep playing.
How do you live with make or miss at this stage of the season?
I won't let a play here or a play there, change my outlook on the game or how I play the game. If you just look at the play, I was able to find one of our shooters at the top of the key for a wide open 3 to win a championship. And I trusted him, we trusted him, and it just didn't go. You live with that.
And our Jared Greenberg is in the bubble covering the finals for NBA TV with our NBA champion, Steve Smith, neither of which had to unpack bags or rebook flights after Friday night, I have been told. But, guys, it looks like the Lakers have made a lineup change, huh?
That is correct. We will get to the Anthony Davis story here in a moment. But, Kristen, the breaking news, as first reported by Shams Charania of the Athletic and Stadium Smitty, is that Alex Caruso is going to enter the starting lineup for the first time in the playoffs. The guard will replace
Smith, neither of which had to unpack bags or rebook flights after Friday night, I have been told. But, guys, it looks like the Lakers have made a lineup change, huh?
That is correct. We will get to the Anthony Davis story here in a moment. But, Kristen, the breaking news, as first reported by Shams Charania of the Athletic and Stadium Smitty, is that Alex Caruso is going to enter the starting lineup for the first time in the playoffs. The guard will replace.
And to me, LeBron James wants to guard Jimmy Butler at some point of the game. But I really think at the start of this game, LeBron is saying, I want this matchup on both ends, and let's see who's going to win it.
You just have to wonder, though, if the Heat look at this and say, they're panicking.
Well, I think the Heat look at this is everybody has counted them out. No one thought before, even before the pandemic, we had a break, that the Heat would be in the finals. You start to question and look around and say, hey, I know around the second round, I say Heat going to the finals. I got a chance to say that on Game Time. The reason why is they're tough. They're well prepared. They play a brand of basketball. It's just not high pick and rolls. It's five guys moving. And then also, they're the most conditioned team in this bubble, and this atmosphere is for them. If you were talking about the Lakers playing the Heat, you flying from Miami back to L.A., for their young guys that haven't been through this, to me, this goes into like this young guys, this is youth basketball. They're used to this. There's no crowd. There's no flying around. There's not that many distractions for these young guys.
So let's get into the X's and O's of this. What does Caruso, you obviously said the matchups here, but what does this do for this game in terms of the Lakers going small?
I think for them is they want to get out in transition. I mean, they got back to it last game, but they lost that game, and they want to play faster. They want to look and say, we want to play downhill. We're going to have 3 or 4 guys trying to play downhill. And that's what it looks at for me from an X's and O's standpoint offensively for the Lakers. But on the defensive end, I'm going to go back. I can't wait to see the start of this game. It is saying LeBron James saying, hey, Jimmy, it's me versus you throughout this entire game, and that's what we want to see.
It'll be interesting because in this matchup, LeBron either now has to guard Jimmy or he has to guard Bam Adebayo. Do the Heat try and get LeBron James into foul trouble?
Well, I think Jimmy Butler plays this game. I mean, I look at what he's been doing. He's been playing downhill. He's averaging, I think, 23 drives, 25 drives a game since game 1. The next closest guy is LeBron at only at 11. So Jimmy Butler's mindset has to stay the same. We all understand LeBron James is a great player, but one-on-one, if he's got his way a little bit in that last game against Anthony Davis, he figured it out. He's not going to change. He's going to still play downhill, and they're going to still have motion.
Real quick, any concern about the heel for Anthony Davis?
I hope not. I hope, I'm not a doctor. I hope he's okay because I can tell you one thing. If you're the Miami Heat, you really don't care. If he steps on that court, he's 100%.
Right. All right. Well, we'll have much more coming up here from Orlando. I'll have a chat with both Frank Vogel and Eric Spoelstra. Smitty will continue to break down ahead of this Game 6 as we send it back to Atlanta and Kristen Ledlow.
Thanks, guys. We'll talk to you soon. And as promised, our Hall of Famers, Grant Hill, Gary Payton, Isaiah Thomas, and another opportunity for LeBron James in a closeout scenario with Game 5 becoming the first in the finals that he had ever lost. But Grant, you were the only one days ago who said that we would be back here Sunday. But do you see LeBron dropping back-to-back closeout opportunities?
Well, Kristen, I must say, I watched a lot of film, but I also read Gary Payton's Players Tribune article talking about no, for real.
A beautifully colorful article, by the way, GP.
No, it was.
Not suitable for work.
Yeah, not suitable, not for everyone, but I think it illustrates what the culture of Miami is all about. And so, moving along, Game 6. I'm not ready to give you my prediction just yet, but I will say that it's interesting, sort of the recent events here, the adjustments the Lakers are making. This Heat team really came out and clicked on all cylinders. They rebounded well. They were able to limit their turnovers. They had a collective team effort, obviously highlighted by Jimmy Butler and his amazing play. And so, I think you can question or you can decide maybe LeBron will guard Jimmy, but also think defending that dribble handoff with Duncan Robinson, that caused a lot of problems for the Lakers. And now with 4 perimeter guys out there, and you take a Dwight Howard or JaVale McGee, who hasn't played in this series much, but if you take a Dwight out, now you can switch that action. And so defensively, I think it's to neutralize Jimmy a little bit, but I think it's also getting your best defenders, perimeter defenders on the floor to try their best. Now, what are you going to do with Adebayo? If LeBron's not guarding Butler and on Adebayo, I expect Adebayo then to play better. He hasn't been great, the last few games. I think regardless, he's due for a big game for Miami. So I like the chess match going on right now, and it'll be interesting to see how both teams respond, Kristen.
And I love that you mentioned GP's article, Heat's culture with this comeback mentality.
Well, I credit it a lot because the simple fact is I knew this is what it was. I knew that Pat Riley was probably up in there talking to all the players. And Spo is just like the same of a Pat Riley. He's just a littler Pat. And I knew that they were going to come back. They weren't going to be sitting low and saying, okay, this game's over, we're going to lay down. Butler has been saying it all year. Man, this is our culture. This is how we play. We're built for this. And I knew they weren't going to lay down. And I knew that they were going to come out and fight and just not give it to the Lakers. And me coming out with the article telling about what we did in 2006, it might even pump them up more. But they were very enthused with it. And I think that they did a great job of coming out. And now I think they got the momentum. They got the Lakers changing their lineup to match up with their little guys coming off them picks with Hero and Robinson shooting the jumpers. I think now they got them at the point where they know that they have a chance now. And if they win tonight, it's gonna be hell on Tuesday.
Also in Game 5, LeBron James finishing with 40 points, 13 rebounds, and 7 assists. He shot 71% from the field and played 41 of the possible 48 minutes. But the debate following was that of whether or not he should have taken the Lakers' last shot or passed it to his open teammate in Danny Green. As you take a look here, he and Jimmy Butler joining an elite list of those scoring at least 40 points on 70% from the field during the finals. Zeke, I've got to ask you, did LeBron make the right play down the stretch?
Absolutely. To me, he made the right basketball play. As you can see, when he drives right, he draws 4. Danny Green has a wide open shot. And, you know, Smitty and I always talk about the pump fake being the best play in basketball. He definitely had time. He's got a defender running at him, shot fake, take one dribble. You got 6 seconds left, wide open shot, or you got KCP sitting over in the corner. LeBron James definitely, again, in my opinion, made the correct basketball play. Sometimes those shots fall, sometimes they don't. We've seen throughout history, whether it be, John Paxson, whether it be Dennis Johnson when he was playing with the Celtics, and I was at that game when Larry Bird kicks it out to Dennis Johnson in the form, and Dennis Johnson knocks it down. We saw in Phoenix where I think it was Horace Grant made the pass back out to Paxson. Paxson knocks the shot down. And, of course, the legendary shot that we always see, Jordan is double-teamed against Utah, kicks it out to Steve Kerr. Steve Kerr knocks the shot down. So, you know, great players during those particular times. They know they're going to draw a lot of attention. And most of the time, 9 times out of 10, they make the correct play. Their teammates have stepped up and made shots or missed shots.
Well,
but, on the other side, go ahead. On the other side of the ball.
You can give us the other side. Yeah, absolutely.
On the other side of the ball, defensively, Grant, Gary, we all know that our main objective is to take the ball out of the best player's hands at the end of the game and don't let that player beat you. And we'll live with someone else beating you. I thought Miami did the correct thing in their defensive assignments, and everything worked out well for the Heat.
And I by no means meant to interrupt you, Zeke, but we do have to take a quick break. Fortunately, we've got an hour and a half to get into all of this as our pregame coverage continues on NBA TV with 5-time NBA champ Derek Fisher joining us to discuss, the last title the Lakers franchise took home. And we're going to continue to look back
way to a D3. You might even become the D3 National Freshman of the Year and get to a D1. Then you might go undrafted, but you might get a shot in the summer. And that might get you to the G League. Then you might get called up and break the franchise record for threes in the season. You might even start in the NBA Finals. So where does confidence come from? Maybe it comes from trying with all of your might.
Now, we've talked a lot about Jimmy Butler, and deservedly so, but his supporting cast showed up in Game 5 as well. Duncan Robinson had 26 points on 8 of 15 from the field, including 7 threes, and Kendrick Nunn came off the bench and scored 14 on 6 of 11 from the field. Our Jared Greenberg and Steve Smith spoke to both of those guys following Game 5.
As this series has gone on, I'm getting more and more comfortable. And truthfully, I was very disappointed in how I came out really in those first 2 games. I felt like I wasn't myself and what I've been all year. And like I said, credit to these guys because they're just always in my ear. They're relentless, always asking me to be aggressive and do my job. And obviously, it helps when the ball goes through a little bit. That obviously builds confidence as well.
Before you get a chance to get your feet set to take a shot, what's the mindset of you? Because this looks like they're trying to be physical.
Coach Spo always says persistence. That's a key for me. So particularly at this stage, everything's scouted. Everyone knows what you're trying to do. And, truthfully, I hardly take 2. So they know I'm trying to take 3s. And it falls on me to be persistent and get to my spots and really do whatever it takes.
What if I told you that only Ray Allen and Steph Curry have hit more 3s in an NBA Finals game than Duncan Robinson? What would you say?
I'd say that's very good company. Those are 2 big-time players, storied careers already. Obviously, one of them's still going. So I guess I still got 2 people to catch then.
Let's talk about your journey and going from not playing in playoff games after finishing as a finalist for Rookie of the Year to now having to step up and play a pivotal role in a win-or-go-home game.
Yeah.
What did that mean to you?
It means a lot. I just knew I had to stay ready. Even though I wasn't playing, the rotations got short, and I knew there would be a time where my team needs me the most. So I just had to stay ready in between those days, not playing, and stay sharp, and that's what I did.
How tough was that for you to take those DNPs as you worked your way back?
It was definitely tough. Just knowing how I contributed to this team all season long. Was a big factor. Also starting throughout the whole entire year, and it was tough.
When you see a guy who's been a leader for you, Jimmy Butler, go out and play more than 47 minutes tonight and put it all out on the line, what do you think about when you're watching this happen in person?
I know the type of player that Jimmy is, so I'm not surprised by it at all. He's built for it. That's the type of player he is, and we have confidence in him that we can lean on him and get the job done.
For you being such a young guy, are you sitting there at any point saying, oh, my goodness, it's LeBron and Jimmy Butler going back and forth in one of the best games we've seen all year?
No, I'm not, actually. That's probably why I have so much confidence, right? Because, I believe I belong.
But it's got to cross your mind, right? We'll get back to more on Kendrick Nunn shortly. First, the shot chart from Duncan Robinson's Game 5. He was 7 of 13 from beyond the arc, good for nearly 54%. And he sounded like he was joking, but he wasn't. He knows the defense isn't looking for him to take 2s. He's taking 3s. So, Zeke, why don't you break down for me what made him so effective in that game?
Kristen, what really makes him so effective is that he moves well without the basketball. And he's great at reading the defense. And, in basketball, we all know the screener gets the shot. So he's an excellent screener. He sets the screen. Butler drives. Now, Green turns his head and, baseline drive, baseline drift. Even though it's not a baseline drive, Duncan knocks the shot down, losing his man. Those fundamental disciplines always come into play. Again, everybody's ball watching. And you always talk to see man and ball. You will see now these 2 LA defenders bump into each other. Duncan comes off, knocks the shot down. Moving without the basketball, that is what he's great at. Circling, screening, catching, shooting. And whenever he catches the basketball, he always has his feet set and he's coming off to his right, feet set, shot pocket, right into rhythm. When you're guarding a guy like Robinson, you always have to be in a position where you're watching man and ball. And sometimes people say you have to have your head on the swivel, but with Robinson, you can't have your head on the swivel because anytime you look away, he's gone. So you got to take a step back So you'll be able to point and see man and ball at the same time, use your peripheral vision. But if you are looking and got your head on a swivel back and forth, anytime you lose Robinson, he is gone and he's knocking down threes.
Let's talk a little bit more about Kendrick Nunn as well, because GP, he did tell our guys down in Orlando that he stayed ready even when he wasn't playing. What did you see from him that made the difference off the bench?
Well, I've seen everything in the beginning of the year. That's why he was a runner-up for Rookie of the Year and made first team All-Rookie. It's because this kid was a surprise all during the year. He is ready. He's built for this, as he says. He can shoot the basketball. He can take it off the dribble. He can even defend, and he runs the floor. And look how good this kid is. Well, when he got sick, all of a sudden everybody starts stepping up, and then he didn't have his role no more. But this is what a kid's supposed to do who's young, didn't get drafted and got an opportunity, and then all of a sudden he stays ready. Next thing you know, somebody gets hurt. He comes in, he steps in, and he goes right into what he was doing all year. I'm not surprised. This kid was having a great year anyway. It's just that other people stepped up when he got sick, sat him down, but then he got his opportunity again, and look at him now. He coming in and doing the same things he did all during the year, which was be productive and be that rookie that he can be.
And Grant, I know it can't be undervalued what both he and Duncan Robinson meant to the Heat in Game 5, but they've got another shooter on that roster in Tyler Hero capable of doing the same thing. Are you waiting expectantly for a game like that from him?
Chris, and I am. I mean, Tyler Hero obviously has had a great postseason and, can put the ball on the floor, get to the rim. Obviously a great catch and shoot player. Is someone that can be a good playmaker. Obviously we see him here finishing on jump shots, but you can put the ball in his hands and he can make plays. And so he hasn't had that sort of breakout game yet in the postseason, and credit the Lakers for doing a really good job defending him, but he has contributed. But, look, getting back to what we were saying earlier, we're talking about Duncan Robinson, Kendrick Nunn, and Tyler Hero. A year ago, nobody thought that these guys would be able to contribute at this level. And I think it speaks to them as individuals and their character and their work ethic, but it speaks to that vaunted Heat culture that GP talked about earlier. And so these three are making big contributions, and two of them have to make, pretty significant ones tonight for the Heat to win.
Well, to your point, Grant, I think like a year ago, he was like at prom, right? Well, I don't think, none of us expected it because, he was in high school. Now, we've got to take a quick break, but when we come back, we've got Coach Speak with our Stan Van Gundy standing by to break down the offensive efficiency of both the Lakers and the Heat in each of their...
Well, Brendan, check this out when you mention that about LeBron. In this series, he leads all players in points in the paint and fast break points in this series. I mean, those are hustle stats for LeBron, and you saw it indicative on this particular play. I mean, that's impressive just to see him doing that, Brendan.
Well, that's where Bron's at his best. Bron's at his best in transition, attacking the basket. The two things that he does best, and I think in NBA history, is get downhill and then use his vision to find his teammates. And so when he's not finding guys when he gets downhill, he gets to the basket. And in transition, he does it almost better than anybody that I've ever seen, because at 6'8", 250, once he starts moving, you can't stop him. You're either going to get out of his way, you're going to foul him, or he's going to get an and one.
Don't miss Film Room Monday at 9 with Chris Miles, Brennan Haywood, Sam Mitchell, and Greg Anthony breaking down Game 6 right here on NBA TV. But now it's time for Coach Speak with Stan Van Gundy as he breaks down what made each team effective offensively in Game 5.
Now it's getting easy down there again. Secure the rebound. It's got to turn right now. Pass the ball. Come on. Every single time, get in a stance and get up.
The last two games of the 2020 NBA Finals were decided by great defensive efforts by the Heat in Game 3, then the Lakers in Game 4. In Game 5, it was time for the two offenses to take center stage, and both did, playing to their respective strengths. A major key to Miami's offense is that in a league where isolations and pick and rolls are so prevalent, no team moves better without the ball than the Heat. And this off-ball player movement, combined with their shooting efficiency, opens up scoring opportunities all over the floor. Here off the turnover, the Heat push in transition. Jimmy Butler sets a screen away from the ball. Tyler Hero comes flying off, balances up, and knocks down a three. Here on the Heat's first offensive possession of the fourth quarter, Duncan Robinson fakes setting a back screen, comes off full speed, takes the handoff from Adebayo, and knocks down the three. Early in the game, the Heat ran this play. Ball goes to Bam Adebayo. Hero comes flying off, takes the handoff. As Howard helps, Adebayo rolls to the rim. Hero throws the lob, a dunk for the Heat. As for the Lakers, they regained a critical part of their offensive identity in Game 5 by pushing the pace and getting out on the break. They outscored the Heat 25-4 in transition after averaging only 10.3 fast break points in the first 4 games of the series. Off the Adebayo miss, the most dangerous transition player in the NBA, LeBron James, takes off, goes all the way to the rim, scores, and is fouled. This time, off a Heat turnover, Anthony Davis gets it to Rondo. Rondo gets the ball back to Anthony Davis. Davis to Kuzma for the layup. Here off the Jimmy Butler miss, Anthony Davis outlets the ball and then runs directly to the front of the rim where he seals Jay Crowder in the paint. Rondo hits him. Easy bucket for the Lakers. If the Heat can continue to execute in the half court with the precision they displayed in Game 5, they might be able to push these finals to a Game 7. Or will the Lakers continue to capitalize in the open court and run away with their 17th title?
Zeke, as Coach mentioned, the Heat and the Lakers both hit 14 threes in Game 5, but the Heat did it more efficiently, while the Lakers outscored the Heat on the fast break 25-4. Whose pace do you see as proving to make the difference in Game 6?
Well, I think right now they both teams want to play fast, and both teams now want to play in transition with the lineup change. And going into the series, we thought that the Lakers would have a sizable advantage on the board from a rebounding standpoint because they were playing with bigger people. Now that the Lakers have gone small, that opens up the lane more for LeBron James to become a driver, and he'll have 4 shooters around him, plus Anthony Davis, who can play inside the paint. So look for LeBron James to attack early and often in this game to set the stage. And let's look for one of those guys getting in foul trouble early. I think it was Game 2, Anthony Davis got in foul trouble early. Game 3, they got in foul trouble early. That cost them minutes out on the floor. The Stars got to stay out of foul trouble so they can play long minutes in this game tonight.
Because Jimmy Butler was also getting it done on both ends of the floor. And as you may have assumed, the players who have recorded at least 30 points, 10 assists, and 5 steals in the postseason are few. So Jimmy, we've heard, is busy warming up for Game 6. But we have the other one to do it in Gary Payton. And he's here. GP, we've gone back into the vault to find some footage of your series against the Jazz back in 2000. What, though, do you remember, not just physically, but mentally, of playing at that level?
Well, you know, Chrissy, it's one of them things where we had to do it. This team, we were undermanned by Utah. They were a better team than us, and I just had to step up. I just had to have that mentality that I had to go every time and get something special to happen, just like almost in a LeBron situation. And I just was leaving it all out there on the floor, and I just had that mentality that I needed to win, and we needed to go to the next level by beating Utah.
Do you see any of yourself in Jimmy as he plays, even as he speaks?
I do, because of the simple fact that I had a young team I only had one guy, and I think it was Horace Grant that was on my team at that time. That was older than I was. And I thought that I had a Rashard Lewis who had just got into the NBA, and I had a young team. Yes, I did think I was just like Jimmy Butler. I had to lead by example and leave it all out on the floor. I was playing almost 47 minutes a game during that time, and I just had to leave it out there, and I had to do it by example. And I think Jimmy is in the same situation I was when I was in 2000.
Well, we're going to continue to look back on this historic matchup between LeBron James and Jimmy Butler. Again, the only two players with two 30-plus point triple-doubles in a single finals appearance ever. Stay here with us on NBA TV. LeBron James has had individual battles that'll live in the league's history books. Starting in 2006, in the first round of the Eastern Conference playoffs against Gilbert Arenas. And who can forget him going back and forth with Paul Pierce in Game 7 of the 2008 Eastern Conference semis? Paul certainly hasn't. And in the last several seasons, Kevin Durant has emerged as LeBron's nemesis, with Game 5 of the 2017 finals seeing LeBron and KD score 41 and 39 respectively. But Jimmy Butler and LeBron have made history of their own in this series. And in Game 5 alone, these guys are averaging nearly 30 points apiece in the finals on more than 55% from the field. So let's listen into more on this superstar matchup.
Try to finish off their business, but do not count out the Miami Heat. We're all set to go for Game 5. LeBron James nails the three-pointer. James tries another three-pointer, puts it in.
Three-point shooting of LeBron James has kept them in it.
James head down, drives inside, layup, count it, and one. LeBron James exploding here in the first half. Back to Butler, quick jumper, Jimmy Butler, and he knocks it down as the shot clock expires. And that will end the first half. James way downtown. LeBron James long distance. Crowder can't answer. Butler, yes, and one. What a spectacular play from Jimmy Butler. Beautiful pass to Adebayo. That's the 10th assist for Jimmy Butler. Feed inside to James, and he throws it down to Butler. Butler pulls up. Got it. Jimmy Butler does it again. And the Heat take a 2-point lead. James drives, gets inside, running layup. It's good, and a foul. He's got 38. Lakers up by one, a minute and a half away from a championship. Butler drives, falling away. Got it again. James and Butler throwing haymakers at each other. 21 seconds remaining. Butler goes to the basket. Layup. One goal, but a foul. Butler, clutch free throw after clutch free throw. Heat up by one. What an epic duel. Drives down a lane, back out to Green. Green for three. Off the mark, no good. Marquise Morris has it. Throws it inside and throws it out of bounds. The Heat take every punch and refuse to surrender. There'll be a Game 6.
Again, LeBron James and Jimmy Butler, the only players with two 30-plus point triple-doubles in a single finals appearance ever. Look at those numbers. They've addressed their matchup, too. Let's listen in.
That's the beauty of the game, being able to compete at the highest level. And you take those opportunities, and you live in the moment. You're trying to make plays for your team to be successful on both ends, and we were both just trying to do that and try to will our team to a victory. And he was able to make one more play than I was able to make.
If you're the best player in the world, you're supposed to be able to do that. We keep our head high knowing that he's gonna hit some tough ones. That's what really, really, really great players do. We ain't backing down. We ain't shying away. We can go on the other end and do what we do. I think he had a hell of a performance tonight, along with AD, the whole team. But we still fighting. We in it to win it. We're not backing down. We're not scared of nobody.
We welcome Smitty back in Orlando. Smitty, where do you think that this individual matchup ranks among those that we've seen with LeBron?
Well, I think it's right up there. Obviously, that KD and LeBron is probably number one. But I will say, watching these two players play has just been a treat, especially up close right here in this type of atmosphere. There's really no crowd here, so you're getting a chance to be close. You're getting a chance to hear both guys talk. But I think just to add to the phenomenal play where they're scoring, rebounding, defending, doing everything, those two guys are well conditioned. I mean, to be able to have that much left at the end of the games for all they are asked to do it's been a treat, and I am looking forward to it. I am loving when both those guys are guarding each other. And I will say, this is one of the matchups where lately you can see Jimmy Butler is one of those guys that can take that first bump by LeBron when he's driving the basketball and still stay on balance and have a chance to try to defend him.
Do you see this series as simply coming down to those two?
You know, I think so. I mean, I think also you got to say others. I mean, all the superstars, just like GP, G Hill, Isaiah, those guys are Hall of Famers. And you're going to have somebody. We all know those guys are going to play well or make an impact. And now it's time for the next guy. Who would that be? And I think as you look at it, the Miami Heat has several guys, and we're putting a lot of spotlight on Anthony Davis for the Lakers.
Smitty, we did talk a little bit earlier about the ongoing debate that has been the last 48 hours. Does LeBron James attempt to take the Lakers' last shot, or does he pass it to an open Danny Green? I want you to weigh in as well. Do you think he made the right play?
Well, I think he always makes the right basketball play. That's why he's one of the best. But I'm looking at scenarios. You're only down one. You had 40 points. The one thing is, not that he take the last shot. I don't call for that pick and roll if I'm LeBron James. I do not want Danny Green bringing another defender, because if I can get downhill, which we know beat our guy, make Bam Adebayo come, whether I get it up on the rim or pass it to AD, that's the play I want. And if I do have a guy setting a pick and roll, I want it to be Anthony Davis, because you get confused when you have two great players in a pick and roll. So did he make the right basketball play? Yes, he did. But because what he's done in that game down the stretch, he deserved to take that shot unimpeded with guys coming to set a screen. And if he misses it, he's okay. There's another game. There's a game 6.
GP, let me ask you the same thing. Right play?
I think it was the right play. And I'm agreeing with Smitty 100%. I think I don't call a pick over. I think I go one-on-one. And then if Miami clogs your lane up, and then you get shooters around you, then I got to say like this. You bring Danny Green in the game. He hasn't played for almost 6 or 7 minutes. He's cold. And, you know, he hasn't been shooting and playing very well in this series. So why bring him in if he's not that guy? Because you say he's a shooter, but he's not really, warm. He's not been doing well. But if it's LeBron, yes, he made the right play. But what Smitty said, I think I would put it on my shoulders and say, I'm going to take the shot. No screens, one-on-one. Let me just go at you. I get into it. If 3 people come at me, I try to split them, get a foul, go to the free throw line, and try to make 2 free throws to win the basketball game. But it was the right play. If it was me, I would have took the shot.
Grant, I have mentioned that Zeke has said to me several times, if he had to win one playoff game, he'd pick Michael Jordan. But if he had to win a series, he'd pick LeBron James because of his mind, because he makes the right plays. As you watched not only those last couple of minutes
to win the basketball game, but it was the right play. If it was me, I would have took the shot.
Grant, I have mentioned that Zeke has said to me several times, if he had to win one playoff game, he'd pick Michael Jordan. But if he had to win a series, he'd pick LeBron James because of his mind, because he makes the right plays. As you watched not only those last couple of minutes.
I also want to just chime in, Kristen, on what GP and Smitty said. And I agree with them both. I must add, Smitty might be the cleanest person in the bubble. But I think he made the right read. But I don't think it was the right play. And to what Gary said and what Smitty said, I don't know if I want Danny Green coming and bringing another body into the picture. I want LeBron, the ball in his hands, against a defender one-on-one. He doesn't need a screen. He's LeBron James, And so that's the only thing that I didn't like was Danny Green coming over and making that screen. And we all know if you want to get an open look, you set a screen on the ball. And that happened in that situation. And so, it was the right read, 4 guys on LeBron James, but I don't think it was the right play, if that makes any sense.
Well, as GP mentioned, if he were LeBron, perhaps he would have tried to drive and get to the free throw line, which, Zeke, Jimmy Butler has done at an historic rate. What have you seen of his ability, not only to drive, but to get to the free throw line and to knock them down at the rate that he is?
So let me see if I can put myself in LeBron James' mind, and I would use Gary Payton as the defender that I'm playing against. LeBron James right now is playing against Jimmy Butler, who was guarding him, and he saw that Danny Green was being guarded by Duncan Robinson, and he made the decision: would I rather have Duncan Robinson guard me, or would I rather have Jimmy Butler guard me? So he called Danny up to set the screen, knowing that Miami would switch. Miami did switch, but Jimmy Butler actually made the great play defensively because he kept coming under double team. That's what left Danny Green open. If Jimmy Butler doesn't continue to double team, then LeBron James is in a one-on-one situation with Duncan Robinson, who he wanted to play against as a weaker defender, as opposed to playing against a stronger defender in Jimmy Butler. And that's why Danny Green was standing wide open at the top of the key or at the three-point line. You see Duncan Robinson is there. Butler makes the correct decision and continue to double team. So consequently, Green is left at the top of the key with 9 seconds left. Now it's up to Green now to either shot fake, and he's got a 2-on-1 on the weak side. He and KCP, two knockdown three-point shooters. It definitely was the correct basketball play, in my opinion.
You hear all that? These are all from Hall of Famers now, so if you are among those on social media who has tweeted death threats to Danny Green for missing that shot, stop it. Seek help. It's just a basketball game, all right? We are now less than an hour away from Game 6.